I think we really have to help the agricultural sector. In the immediate future, yung mga inputs, kailangan nating tignan what can the government do to support the inputs. The biggest component now is urea. And again, exactly as you mentioned, 2,000 pesos, hindi nila kaya talaga. So maybe there is a way that we can come to an agreement with some other countries, not to buy in bulk or to somehow defer payment, all of these things that we will have to do because it's a crisis. So we have to bring down the price of inputs if we are going to increase production. But we cannot just look at, again, business as usual. We have to really find new ways of growing food. We have to find new ways for the livestock. We have to find new ways of fisheries, both coastal and inland. There are many opportunities there. So I think that's something that we must pursue. But again, as I told you, in the immediate future, we have to support the farmers, and the problems with the inputs now we cannot change immediately. But immediately, what we can do, as I said, is to find sourcing of the inputs that, again, we will have to import. I mean, it hurts to say it. It hurts to think it, but we are in an emergency. Napabayaan talagang agri.
May pondo po ba tayo para sa pag-aangkat?
Sa
pag-aangkat?
I think we'll be able to do it. Hindi naging maliit na bagay yung gera sa Ukraine. Because dun tayo, hindi yung wheat na sinasabi, hindi yan hindi yung problema yung para sa tinapay, yung wheat sa feeds. Yun ang nagiging problema natin. So these are events that are completely beyond our control. So we have to find other ways. So can we import somewhere else? Can we make an arrangement somewhere else, like we did with oil in the 70s? Na kinausap natin yung mga oil producers, and sinabi natin, bigyan nyo naman kami ng magandang option. And maybe we will have to do that. In the meantime, pero kailangan yung sistema ng pautang. I think that's one of the areas that we really want to look at. Unfortunately, Land Bank has converted itself not into an agricultural bank anymore. It really operates as a commercial bank. Return those lending institutions that are supposed to be supportive of the agricultural industry, supportive of farmers, back to its original brief. Is in government to what they are supposed to be, but they have turned into something else. Like NFA was never formed to import. Quite the contrary. NFA was formed natin doon. It's the problem is serious. It will take, in the immediate future, I think we will be able to find palliatives. Yung mga para naman makatulong lang tayo for now. But those cannot be of it to production to processing to mechanization to credit all the way to retail. We have the basic elements in place. We just have to return everyone back to what their function is what function is needed by the agricultural sector from them.
Ms. Eden,
Autonomy with then Secretary Velasco of Energy, and we discussed with Saudi Arabia and all the other producers oil producing countries that we buy oil from. Back period. From, I think it was 90 days to 180 days. And we were able to manage that, which medyo talagang naging mas maganda ang but we cannot afford it. So we will have to find different ways, a more focused approach. ng kanilang cost of doing business, malaki ang component ng presyo ng langis. There's a time element to all of this na yung iba tinamaan na kaagad. Yung iba baka muna natin i-prioritize yun. Dito na muna tayo sa tinamaan na. So, and then kasama dyan sa analysis na yan, sino ba talaga yung kailangan natin para buhayin natin ang ekonomiya. So, mag-focus din tayo doon. Baka doon tayo tutulong para bumulusok ang economic activity doon sa area para matulungan ang ating economic recovery.
Right. This is our last round. We have time for only 2 more questions,
Oh,
Mr.
that was fast.
Yes.
Extend natin, sir. If you want. Sir, sa kuryente, ERC Chair De Banadera nagsuggest na tanggalin daw sana po ninyo ang 12% VAT on the generation charge at ang buwisan is yung distribution charge lang para bumaba po yung singil sa kuryente. Your thoughts on that, sir?
That's one of the things we're looking at. Meron talagang pwedeng we in each even on the spot market, in the transmission charge, there are areas that pwede pa nating ibaba. So again, I've been talking to some of the producers, yung ating sa energy production side natin, willing naman, and the key there will be EPIRA. And we already have a team doing just that, looking to see where we can reduce the price of petroleum goods, number one, and what changes we have to make in terms of legislation and more efficient. We may there is the other issue when it comes to energy, in that we have made commitments internationally to reduce our dependence on renewables. But when we first tried to do that, right after COP26, if you remember, the whole world tried to do it. Wala palang kapalit yung coal. Hindi pa ready yung renewables. So, tignan natin yun. We have to also determine the mix of renewables. The renewables to traditional. Ang data. Nuclear remains to be the cleanest and cheapest way to produce energy. The problem is that the lead time for any power station, we have to find another source, a cleaner source of energy. So maybe gas will be the transition. Gas is cleaner than coal. It is as clean as it's going to use our power production through renewables. We have to find the pantawid from purely traditional to the new mix of renewables and traditional. So energy is hard. Talaga, ako aminin ko sa inyo, energy is hard. We really did the world situation, the local situation, the way that we have evolved our systems, it can be quite complicated. So we have to really come up with some good strategies there. But in general, we have begun to see areas where that may potential na dyan tayo kukuha, may baba natin ang presyo ng singil sa kuryente. Okay?
Last question.
Yeah, sir, on foreign policy.
Okay.
Yung may patuloy po mga reports ng incursions, even spying sa internal waters ng Pilipinas. Ano ho ang magiging position ninyo with regard to asserting our sovereignty in the region? What is your position on the arbitral ruling, and how will you enforce it?
Well, in terms of sovereignty, there is no wiggle room there. Our sovereignty is sacred, and we will not compromise it in any way. We are a sovereign nation with a need to be, again, there is no room for negotiation there. It is sacred. And inviolable. So Philippines see that there are 200 kilometers rights to be trampled upon. And how do we do this? We strengthen our, well, we're talking when, you know, there's not trade around it. We're talking about China. And how do we do that? We talk to China consistently. Pasok pa tayo sa gera. That's the last thing we need right now. So we have to continue to discuss with them the conflicting claims that we have with China and that China has with other members of ASEAN. And I think ASEAN is still going to be a very critical part of that discussion. Be allowed to this cannot be allowed to fester. And to become more severe in terms of a problem between our two countries. So that's why in foreign policy, the Americans now, of course, have a very strong global interest, strategic interest in the region with the rise of China. And of Cold War, of the Cold War, where we had the spheres of influence, where you were under the Soviet Union or you were under the United States. I think that we have to just find an independent force foreign policy, where we are friends with everyone. It's the only way. We the closest from our traditional relationship with the United States, which has been very strong and very advantageous to both of us, both the United States and the Philippines, over the past 100 or so years. So it is that's how we define that. So we must maintain that balance. I think as we emerge from the pandemic and the crisis that it brought, we have to form alliances and partnerships, because no country can do this can recover or can change foreign policy on their own. Can change the change the geopolitical situation on their own, and that's why we have to forge the ruling in our favor, and we will use it to continue to assert our territorial rights. It's not a claim, it is already our territorial right. And that is what the arbitral ruling can do to help us. Ang pinapag-usapan bago pa ng-eleksyon ay sinasabi niya, basta itong mga bagay na ito, ituloy mo. Please, that is the request that it's so important to him. And it's still, siyempre, yung kanyang problem. Have to,
Sir, sorry, when did this meeting take place, if I may? Before the election?
there were several, actually. It's not just a single.
And this happened when you were already the front runner in the surveys, tama po ba?
Not the first few. Wala pa.
So more than once po.
Pinuntahan ko, you want to do this? Ako na lang ang natirang kandidato sa administration side. Pwede pa tayo magtulungan, ganun, the PDP, etc. Anyway, that was but ang kanya, sabi niya, the one thing that he was very assertive about was that ituloy mo yung anti-drug, pero wag mong iiwan. Continue to look that way. The foreign policy in terms of the economy, the last time we spoke, he said they were discussing yung increase from 200 to 500 sa ayuda. So they were talking about it. He turns to me and said, sorry na lang kung ikaw yung susunod, uubusin ko yung pera, pero kailangan na talaga ng tao.
So this is a cabinet meeting, sir?
No, it was just a very casual discussion. But he was, si PRRD, he likes to throw it out there to see how people react and to see if how it should be changed. And I was just na talagang it's kailangan pa rin ng tao, kawawa masyadong tao. Yeah, so that's.
Will he play a role in your government, sir?
I'm sorry?
Will he play a role in your government?
If he wants to.
Drug czar, anti-drug czar, something like that.
If he wants to.
So it's a standing offer from the president-elect?
I will. No, he has not. We have not talked about it. But I'm open to anyone who is able to help. In the government. So, matagal na kaming magkaibigan ni PRRD, nung mayor siya pa, long time ago. So, I'm sure if he wants to play a part, sasabihin naman niya sa akin. Certainly open to all of that.
Sir, what about other presidential calls po? Nag-reach out na ba sa inyo? Open ba yung inyong administration sa mga nakilaban ninyo na mabigyan ng posisyon? Kung competent naman po sila?
Marami na. Meron nga yung sinasabi, meron mga, hindi ko na nababanggitin kung sino, pero ilan dyan nagsabi, lumabang kami sa inyo, siguro wala na kaming pag-asa dyan sa gobyerno. Sabi, hindi, huwag yung politika lang yan. trabaho na tayo. Okay lang yun. For me, that's part of it. And that's finished. The people have spoken. The decision has been made. So let's work on that basis. And again, ang aking criterion talaga sa kukunin namin, kung sino yung marunong, sino yung magaling doon sa area na yun, at handang tumulong. What else do you need? Yan, di ba? And I was right before when I said one of the hardest parts of picking these experts and yung pinakamagagaling is that because they are successful, maganda na yung buhay nila eh. Sabihin, pumasok ka sa politika, ang gulo-gulo ng politika. But ang dami talagang willing dahil Pilipino sila eh. Nagmamahal sila sa Pilipinas.
Maraming salamat din.
Thank you.
Ms. Eden, MJ, Ivan, maraming
Thank you.
salamat
Thank you,
po
PBBM.
sa-
Thank you, Secretary Trisky.
Ano yan? Ano yan?
Ali Soto po, Miss Ali Soto, our anchor. And syempre, I myself, birthday ko yesterday.